Have you ever felt a sense of déjà vu in your relationships? That uncanny feeling that you've met this person before, not in a past life, but because they feel exactly like the last person, and the one before that? It's a common experience, this cycle of attracting people who bring the same challenges, the same emotional highs, and the same painful lows. I want to start by saying that the people you attract are not random, accidental, or a string of bad luck. There's a deeper mechanism at play, a force that silently guides your connections. It's often said that patterns in history repeat until they are understood, and the same is true for our personal lives. The emotional landscape of our relationships will continue to present us with the same tests until we learn the lesson they are here to teach us. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not attracting the same people because you are broken or cursed. You are not destined to repeat these painful cycles forever. The truth is, familiarity, not compatibility, is the strongest force in human relationships. We are drawn not to what is good for us, but to what feels known, even if that known is a state of anxiety, neglect, or emotional unavailability. Our nervous system seeks to replicate the emotional environments we grew up in, not because they were ideal, but because we survived them. We know the rules of that game, and our subconscious mind prefers a familiar struggle over an unfamiliar peace. So today, we are going to move beyond blame and into understanding. We are breaking down 8 real, tangible reasons you keep attracting the same people. Not to shame you, but to give you clarity and control. This is not motivational talk. This is pattern recognition. We are going to look at the invisible scripts that run your life, the unconscious contracts you've made, and the subtle signals you send out into the world. And once a pattern is seen clearly, it can be changed. This is where your power lies, not in changing others, but in understanding and evolving yourself. Let's begin. The first and perhaps most fundamental reason we attract the same people is that our nervous system is wired for survival, not for happiness. From an evolutionary standpoint, anything that is familiar is perceived as safer because we have a blueprint for how to navigate it. If your early life was marked by emotional inconsistency, criticism, or a lack of deep connection, your body learned to exist in that state. That specific blend of anxiety, hope, and disappointment became your baseline for normal. It became the feeling of home, even if it was a painful home. Now, as an adult, when you meet someone new, your conscious mind might be making a list of pros and cons, but your nervous system is doing a much faster, more primal calculation. It's asking, does this feel familiar? When you meet someone who is calm, consistent, and emotionally available, it can feel boring, or even unsettling. Your body doesn't have a script for that. There's no anticipated drama to prepare for, no emotional puzzle to solve. This unfamiliar piece can be misinterpreted by your nervous system as dangerous or untrustworthy, simply because it's new territory. This is why you might feel an intense magnetic spark or a powerful pull toward people who are, objectively, not good for you. That intense feeling is often not chemistry, it's recognition. It's your nervous system lighting up and saying, I know this energy. I know how to handle this. That mix of excitement and anxiety is the familiar cocktail it learned to crave. The challenge then is not to chase that initial chaotic spark, but to learn to recognize it as a warning sign from your past. The first step in breaking this pattern is to become a student of your own internal reactions. When you meet someone new, pay attention to your body. Does your chest tighten? Does your breathing become shallow? Do you feel a frantic need to impress them or win their approval? These are signs that your old programming is kicking in. The feeling of being instantly at ease with someone who is chaotic is a red flag. It means you're slipping back into a familiar, but ultimately limiting, dynamic. True growth begins when you can sit with the discomfort of the unfamiliar. It's about learning to tolerate the calm, the person who doesn't create immediate drama, who responds consistently, who gives you space without making you feel abandoned. They might not give you that initial jolt of chemistry. Your nervous system might scream that it's boring or that something is wrong. Your work is to soothe that part of yourself and say, this isn't boring. This is peace. This isn't danger. This is stability. So, the practice here is twofold. First, notice the pull. When you feel that intense, almost anxious attraction, label it for what it is, a signal of familiarity, not necessarily compatibility. Second, practice tolerating calm. Give the steady, consistent person a chance, even if it feels strange at first. Your nervous system needs time to learn that safety doesn't have to feel like a storm you know how to survive. It can feel like a quiet harbor you're learning to call home. In our families of origin, we all adopt certain roles to survive, to get love, or to maintain balance in the system. You might have been the caretaker, the one who was always tending to everyone else's emotional needs. Perhaps you were the overachiever, whose worth was tied to your success and performance. Maybe you were the mediator, the peacemaker, or the invisible child who learned not to have any needs at all. These roles were survival strategies, and they worked for us back then. The problem is, we don't always leave these roles behind in childhood. We carry them into our adult relationships like a well-worn costume. Without even realizing it, we seek out dynamics where we can replay our part. If you were the caretaker, you will unconsciously be drawn to people who need fixing or saving. If you were the achiever, you might find partners who make you feel like you constantly have to prove your worth. The role feels so natural, so much a part of our identity that we don't question it. Replaying these roles preserves our old identity. It's a way of staying connected to who we once were, and it provides a false sense of purpose and control. If I'm the caretaker, I know my function in this relationship. I know how to behave. I know what is expected of me. Performing this role gives me a script to follow, which feels safer than showing up as my authentic self, undefined by a specific function. We are not attracting a person. We are attracting a co-star for our internal play. This is why you might find yourself in relationships where you feel exhausted, resentful, or unseen. You're working so hard playing your part, the supportive partner, the fixer, the high performer, but the real you, the person underneath the role, is being completely neglected. The relationship isn't with you, it's with the function you provide, and you in turn are not connecting with your partner. You are connecting with someone who allows you to stay in your familiar, but limiting, character. The way out of this cycle is to practice presence without performance. It starts with identifying the primary role you played in your family. What was your job? Once you name it, I was the peacemaker, I was the responsible one. You can start to notice when you are slipping into that role in your current relationships. Do you feel an automatic urge to solve your partner's problems? Do you feel pressure to entertain them or keep the mood light? That's the role taking over. The practice is to consciously choose to do nothing. Instead of rushing into fix, mediate, or perform, just be present. Sit with the discomfort of not having a defined job. Allow your partner to have their own feelings without you needing to manage them. This will feel incredibly vulnerable at first. You might think, if I'm not being the caretaker, what is my value here? Why would they want me? This is the core belief you must challenge. Your value is not in what you do for someone. Your value is in who you are. By dropping the role, you create space for someone to finally see the real you. We often talk about boundaries as if they are walls we build or lines we draw in the sand. But in reality, boundaries are not just words, they are behaviors. They are the sum total of what you do and do not tolerate in your interactions with others. Your boundaries are a living, breathing broadcast system, sending out clear signals about who is welcome in your life and how they are allowed to treat you. People don't just randomly cross your boundaries, they respond to the signals you're already sending. If you consistently answer late-night calls from someone who only wants you for one thing, your behavior is the boundary, not the complaint you make to your friends the next day. If you repeatedly accept last-minute plans from someone who doesn't respect your time, your acceptance is the boundary. Your actions are teaching people the rules of engagement with you. You are, in effect, curating your own experiences by demonstrating what is permissible. This is not about blaming you for how others behave. It is about empowering you to see where your control truly lies. You cannot control if someone is disrespectful, inconsistent, or emotionally unavailable, but you can absolutely control whether you engage with that behavior. The people who are drawn to weak or porous boundaries are precisely the people who benefit from them. Someone who is respectful and has their own strong boundaries will not be attracted to a dynamic where they can get away with anything. They will be repelled by it. Therefore, the type of person who stays in your life is a direct reflection of the behavioral standards you enforce. If you find yourself surrounded by people who take more than they give, who disrespect your time, or who dismiss your feelings, it's a powerful piece of data. It's feedback that your behavioral no is not as strong as your verbal one. The signal you're broadcasting is attracting users, not partners. The solution here is not to have a big dramatic conversation about all your new rules. That can come later. The most effective way to change the broadcast is to change the behavior. Starting small. Pick one thing, just one, that you will no longer tolerate. Maybe it's responding to texts after 10 p.m. Maybe it's saying yes to a request that you know will leave you feeling drained and resentful. Maybe it's listening to someone complain without ever asking how you are. Choose that one behavior and act on it immediately. Don't respond to the text. Say, "I'm sorry, I can't make that work." Change the subject or end the conversation. It will feel uncomfortable. You will worry about disappointing them or seeming rude. But that discomfort is the feeling of your broadcast signal changing. You are recalibrating your system. By changing your actions, you change who can and cannot connect with you. You are no longer a match for those who require a lack of boundaries to operate. Within each of us, there are unresolved emotional wounds from our past. These are not just memories, they are active, living energies within our psyche. A wound from being abandoned, rejected, criticized, or made to feel not good enough doesn't just disappear with time. Instead, it creates an unconscious mission to find a situation where we can finally heal the wound by rewriting the ending. This mission leads us to form what I call unconscious contracts. An unconscious contract is a silent agreement you make with another person to reenact a painful dynamic from your past. You are subconsciously drawn to someone who embodies the energy of the person who first wounded you. If you have a deep wound around abandonment, you will be magnetically drawn to people who are emotionally distant or unreliable. The unconscious hope is, this time, I will make them stay. This time, I will be good enough, and they won't leave me. Then, the original wound will be healed. Of course, this strategy is doomed to fail. We choose people who are, by their very nature, incapable of giving us the healing we seek. The emotionally unavailable person cannot heal your abandonment wound. They can only trigger it. The critical person cannot heal your wound of feeling not good enough. They can only reinforce it. We are hiring the arsonist to put out the fire, and then we are surprised when the house burns down again. This is the very definition of a repetition compulsion. Your psyche is trying to gain mastery over an old trauma by repeating it, but all it does is re-traumatize you. The names and faces change, but the emotional outcome is always the same. You are left feeling abandoned, rejected, or criticized, just as you were in the beginning. You have fulfilled the terms of the unconscious contract, and the wound is now deeper than before. It feels like fate, but it's a script of your own unconscious design. The key to breaking this cycle is to bring the contract into your conscious awareness. This requires radical self-honesty. You have to look at the recurring pattern in your relationships and ask, what is the familiar feeling this person triggers in me? Does this feeling remind me of anything or anyone from my past? When you feel that old familiar ache of anxiety or disappointment, recognize it. Instead of projecting it onto your partner and thinking, why are they doing this to me? Turn inward. Recognize that this dynamic is being reenacted of you. The battle is not with the other person. It is with your own unresolved history. The healing doesn't come from getting them to change. It comes from you refusing to play your part in the drama. When you feel the pull to prove your worth to a critical partner, you stop. You soothe the part of you that feels inadequate. You give yourself the validation you're seeking from them. By doing this, you break the contract. You are no longer seeking an external resolution for an internal wound. Your self-concept is the intricate web of beliefs you hold about yourself, who you are, what you're worth, and what you deserve. It's not about arrogance or ego, it's the fundamental operating system that runs in the background of your life. This self-concept acts as a gatekeeper for your relationships. It sets the upper limit, or the ceiling, for the quality of love and respect you will allow into your life. You can only attract and, more importantly, someone who is a match for how you see yourself. If, deep down, you believe you are difficult to love, you will subconsciously find evidence for this belief. You will be drawn to partners who are ambivalent or critical because their behavior aligns with your internal narrative. When someone treats you with unwavering kindness, respect, and admiration, it will feel dissonant. It won't compute with your self-concept. You might find yourself thinking, they don't really know me, or they must want something. This dissonance can be so uncomfortable that we often sabotage these healthy connections. We might push the person away, create unnecessary drama, or find fault with them to make the relationship fit our low self-concept. It's a tragic form of self-protection. We reject love that exceeds our own self-estimation because accepting it would require us to fundamentally change our identity. It's easier to get rid of the person than to dismantle a belief we've held about ourselves for a lifetime. Conversely, we are incredibly comfortable with people who reflect our negative self-beliefs back to us. If you believe you are not worthy of someone's full attention, a partner who is distracted, non-committal, or focused on other things will feel strangely appropriate. Their behavior doesn't challenge your core beliefs, it confirms them. This confirmation provides a perverse sense of stability. See, your subconscious says, I was right about myself all along. So, how do we raise the ceiling? Many people turn to positive affirmations, standing in the mirror and saying, I am worthy of love. While the intention is good, affirmations alone often fail because they clash too strongly with our deep-seated beliefs. The more effective path is to build your self-concept through action. Your self-concept is not just what you think. It's what you do. It's the sum of the promises you keep to yourself. Start by taking small, consistent actions that align with the needs of the self you want to become. This could mean finally signing up for that class you've been putting off. It could mean cooking yourself a nourishing meal instead of ordering takeout again. It could mean dedicating one evening a week to a hobby that brings you joy without apology. These are not grand gestures, they are small deposits of integrity into your own emotional bank account. Each action sends a message to your subconscious. I am worth taking care of, I am worth investing in. As your self-concept rises, so does the ceiling for who you'll allow to stay in your life. If you are a person who is naturally empathetic, emotionally attuned, and highly available, you might find yourself in a recurring pattern of attracting partners who are the complete opposite, emotionally distant, underdeveloped, or unavailable. This isn't a coincidence. It's a dynamic of imbalance. In the ecosystem of relationships, emotional energy, like all energy, seeks equilibrium. Your overavailability creates a vacuum that naturally pulls in someone who is underavailable. Highly empathetic people are often conditioned from a young age to be emotional caretakers. You learn to read the room, anticipate needs, and manage the feelings of others to maintain peace. As an adult, you do this automatically. You offer a deep well of emotional support, understanding, and validation. When you meet someone who is emotionally guarded or has limited capacity, your instinct is to pour your energy into them, hoping to open them up or help them heal. This creates a one-way relationship. You become the emotional engine of the partnership, doing all the work of processing feelings, initiating difficult conversations, and maintaining the connection. The emotionally underdeveloped partner, in turn, gets to enjoy the benefits of your emotional labor without having to develop their own capacity. Your strength becomes a crutch that prevents them from growing, and their lack of effort drains you completely. This dynamic is incredibly common. The empathetic person feels needed and purposeful, fulfilling their old role as a caretaker. The unavailable person feels safe because you don't demand more from them than they are capable of giving. The relationship can persist for a long time in this imbalanced state, but it will always leave the emotionally available partner feeling depleted, lonely, and unseen. You are giving a feast to someone who only brought a few crumbs to the table. The key to breaking this pattern is to practice reciprocity awareness. You must shift from being an endless giver to being a conscious investor of your emotional energy. Start paying close attention to the flow of energy in your interactions. After you share something vulnerable, do they respond with curiosity and empathy, or do they shut down, change the subject, or make it about themselves? When you need support, are they able to provide it, or do they become uncomfortable and distant? The practice here is to match, not overcompensate. If you are met with a short, one-word answer, resist the urge to ask 5 more questions to draw them out. Pull back, give them the space that their response has created. This is not about playing games, it's about creating balance. By pulling back your energy, you are doing 2 things. First, you are conserving your own precious resources. Second, you are giving the other person an opportunity to step forward and meet you halfway. If they don't, you have your answer. A healthy connection requires a 2-way flow, and it's time you stop being the only one building the bridge. When the same painful scenario plays out in our lives over and over again, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing it's our destiny. This always happens to me. I'm just unlucky in love. All the good ones are taken. We start to see the pattern not as a solvable problem, but as an unchangeable fact of our existence. This mindset, where we mistake repetition for fate, is one of the biggest obstacles to change. It resigns us to our circumstances and strips us of our agency. But what if we reframed it? What if these repeated experiences are not a verdict on our future, but simply feedback on our present? Every recurring relationship dynamic is a piece of data. It's the universe, or your own psyche, holding up a mirror and showing you something about your internal world. The emotionally unavailable partner is data. The partner who needs fixing is data. The one who can't commit is data. It's all information, and it's pointing you toward a specific area that needs your attention. The problem is that we often react to this data emotionally instead of analytically. We get lost in the pain, the frustration, and the self-pity of the experience, which is completely understandable. But by staying in the emotional reaction, we miss the lesson. We are so focused on the what, this happened again, and the why me, why does this keep happening to me, that we fail to ask the more powerful questions. What is the common denominator here? And what is this pattern trying to teach me? Seeing your life as a series of feedback loops instead of a pre-written tragedy is a profound shift in perspective. It moves you from the position of a victim to the position of a student or a scientist. Your past relationships are not failures, they are experiments that yielded a certain result. Your job now is to study that result, not to judge it. What were the initial conditions? What choices did you make? What signals did you ignore? What part of you was running the show? So, I invite you to become a detective in your own life. Get out a journal and map it out. Write down the key relationships you've had. Look for the common themes, not just in the other person, but in how you felt and how you behaved. What role did you play? At what point did things start to feel familiar? What red flags did you notice, but explain away? Don't do this to blame yourself, but to gather clues. Treating your patterns as data demystifies them. It takes them out of the realm of bad luck or destiny and places them firmly in the realm of cause and effect. Once you see the mechanics of the pattern, the beliefs, behaviors, and unhealed wounds that create it, you are no longer at its mercy. You can begin to change the inputs to get a different output. This isn't fate you're dealing with. It's a formula, and you have the power to solve for a new variable. We've talked about how our nervous systems can be addicted to the chaos and drama of unhealthy relationships, the emotional highs and lows, the chase, the anxiety of uncertainty. These can be incredibly stimulating. When we finally start to break these patterns and choose something different, something healthier, the initial feeling is often not relief or joy, it's boredom. And this is the final hurdle that trips so many people up. A healthy, secure relationship doesn't operate on drama. It operates on consistency, respect, and mutual trust. There are no games to play, no minds to read, no love to be won. The connection is steady. The communication is clear. The commitment is stable. To a nervous system that is accustomed to a roller coaster, this can feel incredibly flat. You might find yourself thinking, is this it? There's no spark. I'm not feeling that intense pull. Maybe we're just not compatible. This boredom is a critical phase of recalibration. It is the withdrawal period from your addiction to chaos. Your body and mind are detoxing from the cortisol and adrenaline spikes that you had mistaken for passion. Just like someone giving up caffeine might feel tired and headachy at first, you will feel a sense of flatness or even emptiness as you adjust to a new, calmer baseline. It's essential to understand that this feeling is a sign of progress, not a sign that the relationship is wrong. The temptation during this phase is to sabotage the healthy connection to get a fix of the old, familiar drama. You might pick a fight, create a problem where there isn't one, or pull away just to see if they will chase you. This is your old programming trying to pull you back into what it knows. It's a test. Can you tolerate the peace? Can you find excitement in stability rather than in uncertainty? The work here is to consciously reframe what you define as exciting. True excitement in a relationship isn't about the anxiety of wondering if they'll text back. It's the quiet thrill of being deeply understood by another person. It's the adventure of building a future together, brick by brick. It's the security of knowing you have a safe harbor to return to, no matter what storms life throws at you. This is a more mature, more sustainable kind of excitement. So, if you find yourself in a new healthy dynamic and you're feeling bored, I encourage you to lean in, get curious about the feeling, remind yourself that this is your nervous system healing. Instead of running away from the calm, explore it. Find joy in the predictability. Learn to appreciate the profound beauty of a connection that doesn't require you to be in a constant state of fight or flight. Tolerating this initial boredom is the price of admission to real, lasting love. It's the quiet before the dawn of a completely new way of relating. We've journeyed through these 8 patterns, not as a list of flaws, but as a map to a deeper self-awareness. Once you see why the same people keep showing up in your life, the question is no longer, why does this happen to me? That question keeps you in a place of victimhood. The new, more empowering question becomes, what am I reinforcing, and what am I ready to change? The power shifts from the world outside of you to the world inside of you. You realize that your attractions are not random curses, but compasses pointing toward the areas within you that are ready for healing and growth. The journey of breaking these patterns is not about finding the perfect person, it is about becoming the person who is no longer a match for the dynamics that have caused you pain. It's about raising your self-concept, strengthening your boundaries, healing your wounds, and teaching your nervous system that peace is the new safe. It's a profound inner transformation that will be reflected in the quality of the people you not only attract, but choose to build a life with. This is the ultimate act of taking control of your own story. If this guide helped you see your experiences with more clarity, I encourage you to share it with someone who keeps asking the same questions about their life. Sometimes, a new perspective is the key that unlocks everything. Please subscribe to the channel for more deep, grounded explorations into human behavior, psychology, and the patterns that shape us over time. We are all on this journey of understanding together. Remember, understanding is the first step toward freedom, and clarity is always worth passing on. Thank you for your time and your courage to look within.